It's summer, and you know what that means. We are bringing you another summer franchise. That's your part.
Is it?
Yeah, that's your part.
And you know what that means.
A little bit more excitement, Vince.
Huh?
And you know what that means.
The heat is on. It's on the street.
Here we go. This, Vince, I consider, when I hear this movie, I always consider, my brain goes to summertime. Because of that song, The Heat Is On, it just instantly goes to back to that year, which was 1980, what?
84, like it's 84 degrees because the heat is on.
My brain always goes back to 1984 because it was a good summer. Because of this movie, mostly. And I just remember it as a really good summer. You know, I was a teenager, or just about being a teenager, and, you know, it was just a really great summer. And here in St. Louis, we have a baseball team called the Cardinals, if you're not familiar with baseball or sports or anything. And The Heat Is On was their theme song for that summer. So all summer long, all I heard was, the heat is... You say it again.
I say it again?
Yeah.
On.
All summer. Literally the entire summer, that's all you heard was that song. And it was on Channel 11 where they used to show the Cardinals, and every time you turn the channel on, you heard that song. And the thing is, I never really got tired of the song because I love the song. And I still love the song today, and my air conditioner just came on.
That's because the heat is on.
And the funny thing is, that entire summer, that was a great, fantastic summer for me. I never went to go see the movie.
The movie we're talking about, of course, is Beverly Hills Cop.
Just for whatever reason, means summer. When I think this song, I think Beverly Hills Cop, to me it's just summer. And that's why we're doing this for summertime now, the summertime franchise.
You know what? That's probably because it didn't really come out in the summer. That I remember. It came out like later, like late summer.
I haven't watched this movie probably in, I couldn't even tell you, 15, 20 years. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. But, of course, I always remember I loved the movie. Until I started watching this, I literally forgot how much I actually love this movie. It is outstanding.
Yeah, it's a great film. Great fun. It's really funny. Really, it's just great fun. It's almost an action-adventure comedy. Action comedy.
It's an action-adventure action comedy.
Yeah.
The one thing I loved about this movie, and I was actually going to try to compare Eddie Murphy sort of to like Jim Carrey. Like just goofy, you know, whatever. Because that's kind of how I remembered Beverly Hills Cop. But that's completely wrong because he's much better than Jim Carrey. Especially in this movie. Because the story is, it gets serious. And he has a serious side to him. And he has the comedic side to him. And I think that's why this movie is so good. Because he does get serious in the film. Because it's a serious cop film. But also it's a funny cop film. And it's also filled with action and incredible music. And it has everything in it.
An action-adventure comedy. Action comedy.
Literally, I think it's one of the best 80s movies of all time.
So the thing about this movie is it just recently came out on Blu-ray as a triple pack, I guess you call it, combo, with Beverly Hills Cop 2 and 3. And for its 35th anniversary, I believe it was. So they have a bunch of new extras on here, as well as some of the extras because the first Beverly Hills Cop movie, this one that we're talking about, actually came out on Blu-ray a couple of years ago. But it was the only one that came out on Blu-ray. So now they have this triple combo pack that that David and I are doing this review for. Now, as far as the movie goes, Beverly Hills Cop, I didn't get to see this in the movie theaters either. I don't know why, because that year, I think I saw a ton of movies that year. I mean, because there were a ton of movies that came out that year that are still, to this day, memorable movies. I mean, that are just classic films, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and Gremlins, and Ghostbusters, and all these movies that came out. And then the following year, going into the following year, because I believe this came out in the late part of summer, going into the next year, there was The Goonies. I mean, it was like just a string of hit movies came out between that time. And Beverly Hills Cop was like sandwiched in between of it.
The beginning of this movie is great. The thing I loved about the beginning of it, they showed Detroit as it's just dirty. I mean, all the people that are walking around on the streets are not actors. I mean, they are actual people. And I loved the grittiness and then the dirtiness of just the streets and the buildings. And you can see what the world was back in 1984. It's like a little, snapshot picture of the way things used to be. And that's so cool that they filmed that. And it looks really great. And the whole music in the beginning of it and just people walking around being themselves, I think just works so well as the beginning of this film.
And this is something else I was also about to get to with the extras, that in the extras they were talking about how this movie, of course, is made. One of the things about it, because you're talking about how everything is on the street and there's a snapshot picture, because that's exactly what it was. They actually literally took a van out there and filmed people not knowing. Of course, they had to come up and ask them for their permission to use them in the movie, but it was like they just literally like surveillanced people out on the street and took those pictures.
I mean, that's what it looked like. That's what I figured they did. I mean, because like I said, they're real people. They just, when I was watching, I was telling Becky, I was like, well, they probably just set the camera up and film people. I mean, that's what it looks like.
But the other thing about this movie, you were talking about how it can be serious, that there's a serious side to it. And yeah, that's what's great about this film, is there's a whole serious thing to it, and then you have Eddie Murphy tearing it up and being his comic self. But the serious part of it comes in because when this movie was originally pitched, it wasn't going to be what it became. It was going to be a serious action film with Sylvester Stallone. And it was also possibly going to be what became Cobra.
Yeah, the thing with Eddie Murphy, though, he does get, like I said, it's what's so great about him in this film is he has a serious side, but then the next minute he's cracking up and you're laughing out loud, but then he gets serious again. And I think it shows what a great actor he is. He just made a movie, My Name is Dolomite. It's on Netflix, and I think it's the best thing he's ever done. And it shows what a great actor he is. I think he should have been nominated for an Academy Award for the part because it's such a phenomenal film. And if you're a fan of Eddie Murphy, you need to watch My Name is Dolomite. It is outstanding.
Eddie Murphy, and possibly his best known, greatest known character ever, Axel Foley. And he's freaking fantastic. He is just absolutely awesome in this film.
Something I want to say about his character in this. And it's weird to say this, but the costume designer, they nailed it. For whatever reason, when Eddie Murphy wears like the gray, like a gray shirt and blue jeans, that is a fantastic look for him.
The other characters in here that are super fantastic are the characters of Billy Rosewood and John Taggart, which is the actual Beverly Hills Cops in here, played by John Astin and Judge Reinhold, who Judge Reinhold, I think, was just also starting out and became super famous because of this film.
Yeah, and I was saying, like, the beginning of the film where it's all dirty and gritty and you were showing the real people. Then you get to Beverly Hills, and then I'm pretty sure those are the real people as well, walking their dogs, and wearing, and because you show the stark contrast between the two, and it works so good. And here you have Eddie Murphy coming into his like blue bent up Chevy Nova, whatever he was driving, and it was like, oh man, it's everything in this movie works.
And you look at it and not knowing that it was going to be an action film at first, that it was just going to be an action film with Sylvester Stallone, but it became this comedy with Eddie Murphy, and not knowing any of that, it's like you could see all the contrast that you're talking about. Anyway, I mean, you can see it anyway, but it's like, wow, what if this was the serious action film that they were going to do?
It still holds up. It's still a hilarious movie. And, if you've never seen it, you are in a huge, huge treat here to watch this for the first time, because, like I said, it's one of the greatest films of the 80s. One of the greatest cop movies, I think, ever made, because of everything working so well. The comedy, the action, the story, the acting, everything in this movie just came together, and it's incredible. Not to mention this freaking amazing soundtrack. Actually, I just watched the movie and got on Amazon and ordered the soundtrack.
Well, as far as the soundtrack goes, it's one of my favorite soundtracks ever. And I got this soundtrack a long time ago, but I recently got it on CD. Not like too recently, but I mean, when it finally came to CD and I bought a CD of it, I had to buy Beverly Hills Cop, is what I'm getting at. Because I used to listen to that over and over and over. Loved Beverly Hills Cop. And then, of course, when the sequels came out, I got, especially Beverly Hills Cop 2, had to get that one too.
And it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible to, after watching the movie, that you're not walking around going dun 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 dun. It's just like, it's impossible, because it's like such a great song that it's in your head, and you're like walking around for 2 days going dun 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 dun.
Okay, the other thing I got to mention here is, of course, the bad guy, played by Steven Berkoff. He plays Victor Maitland in here, and he also played the bad guy, the Russian, in Rambo First Blood Part 2. And it's funny to see him in here, because I keep waiting for him to say some of the lines in Rambo, like, you are strong, very strong. And the other actor in here that's really great is Ronnie Cox, who plays the Captain Bogomil of the Beverly Hills Cop, or Beverly Hills Police Department. He is fantastic. I loved him in this movie. I love both those guys in it. I mean, this entire cast in this film is great. And just the whole movie is just great. It's a perfect comedy, and it works so well, and it's a perfect 80s movie, and it's perfect. Even though it's an 80s movie, it's almost timeless, and that's what's so great about it. Because the music's great, the movie's great. I mean, it's a little dated as far as you look at some of the clothes and you look at some of the cars and whatnot, but there's even a DeLorean in here. This is a year before Back to the Future. But there's a DeLorean in it. It's just a fantastic film. It's just a fun 80s film, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it definitely gets, obviously, without a doubt, because the heat is on, it gets the bomb.
Overall, if you've never seen this film, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, this is a great box set. I think it's only like $20 for all three movies, and go out and get it, and you will laugh and enjoy it. And there's nothing bad about this film, and it's like the music and everything. It's a perfect package. It's a perfect film. So of course, the heat is on with this one, because I'm giving it
and I'm just burning, doing the Neutron dance as you subscribe and hit the like button and hit the little bell up there. we're all be doing the neutron dance, and we're going to be doing the neutron dance into the next review, where we'll shake down, break down, take down